Yes?
Yep, just give me 1 sec. I just want to make sure I'm all good to go. Okay, so we'll begin. Hi, I'm Scott Simi. I am the editor-in-chief of DroneDJ.com, and I've got a special guest today who I think you're going to be really interested to hear from. It's Alexandru Duru, and he is the CEO of Omni Hoverboards. Welcome, Alexandru.
Hi. Nice to see you, Scott.
So I first became familiar with Alexandru's work, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. I'm sure he'll correct me, but this amazing video popped up online of a guy flying a hoverboard over a lake. And he actually set a Guinness World Record at the time. And the world kind of freaked out because it was like the first time we'd seen a device like this. And Alexandru is the guy who made it and who flew it. So we're really excited to catch up with him and see what you've been up to. Alexandru, what have you been up to since then?
Well, a lot of things happened. What can I say? This was an exciting journey. The whole development and everything it turned into, it was something really exciting for me. So at the beginning, it was pretty much an idea. It was okay. Can we do that? I knew from the start it was to the limits of what was doable back then. And even though I kind of knew that it won't fly for too long, I still decided to go and take a chance and to make this happen. But and it turned out into this first prototype that we're actually still operating up to this day. This is the first Omni hoverboard right here.
Wow.
All right. The boots are missing because we're planning some experiment, but I can't really talk too much about it. We're planning some experiment for the end of the summer. With that, there's going to be some stunts happening. Anyways, I'll get back to you on that later. But yeah, this is pretty much how it went. I looked into the physics, into the math, and I was figuring out that okay, it's something doable now. And I just started working on it, and with small steps at a time. I managed to make okay. First, I tried the propeller on my feet, for example, and then I tried that over an empty pool, and I saw how this feels. You know, I had a controller in my hand, pretty similar to this one that we're still using right now. It's still a pair of pliers, but you know, I mean, it's pretty much all you need for the control. This is the thrust level. So you accelerate, and the rest it's your body. So I tried that on a piece of wood with a snowboard binding on one side, and on the other side, I had a propeller with a motor. Not these propellers, not these motors, but I tried that as the first setup over a pool, an empty pool. And I was experiencing this the controlling a motor like that with your feet directly, changing the orientation, feeling how it feels, and it felt pretty stable and not too scary overall. So my friends and I, we decided, okay, let's move forward, and slowly we built more things. We put things together. At the beginning, actually, this is something that I think it's pretty hard to find now on YouTube because it's been buried under lots of other videos. But the first test I actually did on it had the board upside down. So these legs, they didn't exist, and the boots were placed over. They were placed on the other side, and the propellers were kind of going higher than the frame. It eliminated the need for legs, but it made it much more dangerous because the propellers were closer to you, and there's some kind of a reflex when you land. I used to snowboard, and when you land with a snowboard, you always use your hands to keep your balance. Especially so that happened to me. I was trying to jump around with this, and then I landed a little bit forward, and I tried to use my hands to stop me. And back then, we didn't have the system that stops the motors really quickly once you release the throttle. We did have this braking, so the propellers would continue turning. Then you would just bend, try to touch it, and then these things are turning pretty fast. So I got a little bit hurt. Actually, I still have a little mark here on my hand. Not sure you can still see it. Hold on, can it focus? Oh, come on. Anyways, on this finger, on this side, there's a little cut, but
it could have been worse.
It's not a big deal. It's worth it anyways. So yeah, that's what happened back then. And then we flipped it, added these protections, and then we moved towards other our goals. We had a platform made out of foam that we floated on the water, and then that's how I took off the first time. But before that, I had to learn how to balance on it. To do that, I had to set up some kind of rope where I was suspended from a tree. So that's how I learned. That's how I learned the balance on the board. And once I was good enough, we took it out for a spin on the lake, and it worked out pretty well from the first time there. From the first the video of my first flight is still on our YouTube channel. Yeah, so that's pretty much how it started. And then we got a lot of requests from all over the world, and we've been to Japan, to the Middle East. We've been to lots of places. Yeah.
How did you first come up with the idea that, hey, I could take some of these parts and build a flying device?
Well, I've always been curious about pushing the boundaries of technology. I've been curious about how far we can push things, and I still have to give credit here to my father. Somehow, he's an engineer in electronics, and he taught me that from a very early age. So as long as I can remember, we always had some corner in our house where he would play with electronics. He would work on some things, and then he would teach me how transistors work, how motors and resistors, capacitors. He would show me these things really from a very early age. And even though at the beginning I was maybe a little lost with all this, but it was still something that I was interested in, and I just continued learning, and having this corner where I can experiment all the time, it pretty much turned into a small lab here. Like what we have lathe, we have like that's, excuse the mess here. This turned out into, I continued the tradition, let's say. So this is what it turned out into. And yeah, excuse the mess here, of course. I know there's a lot of things that I'm doing, but this is pretty much what it turned into. And I'm running that now. I'm gonna have also an assistant. I work on other engineering projects, and we're continuing this thing. Really, we're developing, and we're pushing the boundaries for other projects. Some of them I can't really talk about because it's for some clients, But this is something that helped me understand what is doable and what is not doable. So having all these tools at your disposal, being able to touch them, being able to learn, not only in a theoretical manner, not only, oh, this you look at things on paper or you do everything on a computer. It's easy to say, oh no, it's not going to work because it's not within the specs of the manufacturer. But when you actually have the parts in your hands, like this is a brushless motor, and then you try programming controllers, you test it, you test it until you break it. Well, you will learn more than if you just do engineering on paper or on a computer. So it's I think being hands-on, always having these things at my disposal, and continuing pretty much to look at what's the next big thing. Is this thing going to be doable? I think this is what made me think about it pretty much.
When I watch that flight, and I've seen some other flights that are up on YouTube now, I look at it and I just think, oh my God, that looks amazing. I want to do that. What is it like? Tell us what the experience is like when you're actually flying.
Well, I remember the first time it's like nothing else. It's definitely like you are getting another superpower here, and you can just fly around. And of course, at the beginning, maybe you're a bit worried. You don't know exactly how it's going to react to your movement, so you're still learning. But once you spend 30 minutes of flight on it at shots of 2 minutes, well, once you do that, it becomes second nature. It's, for me right now, I wouldn't be worried. People ask me, okay, can you fly that? At the beginning, I was flying over water. Yeah, they ask me, okay, can you go there? Can you do that? Can you turn around that building? Can you go over these cars? At this point, I wouldn't even be worried about it. You know, at the beginning, well, maybe, okay, maybe we're going to be a little more careful. But I think the most beautiful thing to do with it is still to go out in nature and move around. It's a bit like in a dream somehow. It's something like that. That's my favorite part. Yeah.
And so you were mentioning you've got the hand controller throttle, but the rest of the positioning and pitch is all controlled by your body weight. Is that correct?
It's correct. And we're planning to have more flexibility on the next version. So we're going to be able to control things independently. Maybe some algorithms can help you out balance better or something like that. But for someone that, to me, I don't really feel that it's really necessary. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all. I just I think these systems that add more flexibility are going to be more useful in order to have redundancies in case of failures and some things that, you know, so the machine could pretty much right now, if you have a failure, one motor stops working or one ESC blows up, say this happens from time to time. So if this happens, you will lose trust on that motor, and then you'll have to react with your body and have to twist the board. You have to put some pressure on it and change your center of gravity in relationship to the board. You have to do all these things quite quickly in order to avoid crashing or losing control. So from that perspective, let's say it's not really very user-friendly yet. And I think this area is something that can be improved upon. I think that having independent control with computer that monitors everything, and if ever something goes wrong, it can shut off other motors or change the speeds that the other motors are turning at, so that for you, the user, it won't feel like it won't be that hard to control in case of a failure. I think it's possible to do it in a way where you won't even notice that there's a failure. It's just going to receive some notifications on your controller, be like, okay, a bunch of motors are down. You don't have as much trust as before. But if the computer balances the load automatically, that's all you're going to need to handle in the future. Whereas right now, there is some workload to handle. Actually, I did some, we did other flights and we did training for this kind of failures. And it's doable. I can fly with one of the ESCs broken. It still works. However, I'm not sure I would be able to do a proper landing and not break the propellers or something like that. And you need more space to maneuver. It's really right now, if there's a failure, it's recoverable, but it's a bit difficult. Yeah, that's something that will be improved upon
and
in the future.
I know there are probably going to be a lot of people watching who the first question they have is, when can I buy one? So are you working on a commercial version? Do you have any projections for when that might be available?
Yeah, well, that's the plan. The plan is to make this available for sure. And be it available for purchase, be it available for rental. If they really, really want to come and they can't wait, they could still write me, and I don't know, I could still set them up and have them try this one. Although, anyways,
I'm putting my hand up.
You are?
Absolutely.
Well, okay. When are you available?
All right, we'll figure it out. I'm curious, did you have any background in drones? Because obviously some of the technology, I'm guessing probably the flight controller came from, the enterprise drone world.
Oh, really? There is no flight controller.
Really?
Really? Really?
So,
I mean, okay, look, I'll switch around here. Can we? No, we can't. Anyways, the flight controller, this is actually V2 here.
Yep.
Is this thing here. All right. So it's just an Arduino right now. And it's the simplest thing that you can imagine. Really, it's your body that does the balance. And our brain can learn so many things. It learns this as another skill. It's not even that difficult. I think it's cool to use your balance to fly. That's one of the that's something that I find really cool about this machine, because it's not just, all the other machines, they do pretty much everything for you. You don't have to do anything. But this is something that merges with you somehow.
And so the Arduino just basically will help it to maintain a stable hover. Is that basically its role?
No, not even that.
What's it doing?
Well, it listens to the throttle controller, and it just sends the data to the ESCs, and that's all it does.
Wow.
It does, and you do that part too.
So basically, all of the control for keeping it stable, for everything else, is just to do with the operator. using
Yes,
shifting their weight.
exactly. Yes. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
how intuitive is that? I mean, my guess, you know, and you were saying you snowboard. My guess is that once you start to get the hang of it, I would think it probably is a pretty natural feeling. How would you describe it?
Yeah, it becomes very natural. It becomes like being on a bicycle. Of course, more dangerous because if things fail and you're high up, nothing's gonna save you. There's no magic carpet that's gonna come, I don't know, appear out of nowhere to get you or something like that. So you got to be responsible and understand this. But for the flight itself, it's something that becomes second nature. Yep.
One of the things I'm curious about is in the regulatory scheme, you know, is this an ultralight? What kind of aircraft category, if it fits in a category, does this fit into?
Ooh, that's a good question here. Well, for now, I think it's going to be an ultralight in the US. And we'll see. If not, we'll see what happens. I think this is a bit out of the ordinary, and it's going to need its own category in the long term.
I've noticed just recently one or two other people who are in the US who are experimenting with similar technologies. You were clearly the first out of the gate here.
I was, yes. Yeah.
Do you have any rough estimate of a timeline when a commercial product might be available?
Well, look, we're working hard on this, but it's still a difficult thing to do. I think we're gonna start with a small series and see how that goes. Of course, I'm worried about accidents or people getting hurt here or something like that. And okay, maybe they'll be careful. I don't know. I'm worried about all these things when putting this in the hands of other people. Maybe we can open it up first to pilots, so people that are already helicopter pilots, something like that, where they have some experience already, so they know that they understand the risks better. Because it's very easy to get excited and to think, okay, yeah, sure, it's great. I'm gonna get this thing. I'm gonna go to the grocery store with it. Yeah, good. But yeah, for sure, the FAA is probably gonna come back after you. So there's a lot of issues in the short term. But I think it's things that we can tackle one way or the other. So we'll see. If ever, I don't know, if ever Canada, for example, says no, hoverboards, we don't really want that. So if you want this, right now it's a helicopter, you need to pass 1 year to get your helicopter license, and then even then you can't fly because this and that, or this is something that actually is going on right now. Transport Canada is after me because I flew this in Old Port, and they're saying that I should contact the tower of I should have contacted Montreal Trudeau Airport Tower, which is an international airport, to tell them, hey, you know what, I'm in Old Port here, I'm gonna be doing this demonstration in front of these kids. Can I have authorization for takeoff? Can you give me clearance? So they're after me because of that. So yeah, they don't take it so seriously as I thought they would. And so they're telling me that no, you can't use it next to the airport. You need a special permit, and we'll pay us, and then we'll think about it. We'll think if ever we'll give you the authorization or not. And my feeling is that if it's so hard for me to get it, how hard will it be for the people that are going to buy it to get an authorization like that. So how is it going to be? They're going to do it without it. If they get caught, they're going to pay the fines. Look, there's a lot of questions here, but one thing is for sure, and I told them the same thing. This thing has to move forward, and it's not going to stop me. This fine from Transport Canada is not something that's going to stop the development, because this clearly belongs in our future. It's worth it. Every minute or hour or month or year that I put on it is worth it. So it's not just going to stop because the government is not doing their job at telling me how I can fly it. No, I'm not going to stop just because of that. So if ever this is the problem, it's okay. We're just going to find another country where we can do it, and so be it. If someone needs to travel to another country to experience the hoverboard, I don't know where it's going to be. Maybe Italy. I might be leaving to Italy in a couple of months. So if they're nicer, or look, we'll find a country that would be happy with that, and we'll continue the development there. So one way or another, we're gonna make it work, and we're gonna allow people to fly it. Yep.
Now, I'm sure, obviously, you've learned things while developing the platform. Do you see any other use case scenarios for it? You know, for example, as like a heavy lift drone, you know, a modification of what you've got, or other applications?
Well, to tell you the truth, yes, they would be, but I've seen some commercial heavy-duty drones that are designed pretty well as well. So these things for crops, agricultural drones. I've seen them actually have some parts that are coming from these drones right here, and we're looking at using their tech rather the other way around. I personally, I'm a bit less excited about doing autonomous drones with this technology. But if say the firefighters say that we really need to use that and attach a big hose to it, and it's going to work better, sure, why not? In the end, I don't know, in the long run, maybe we can think about that. Pretty much.
Is there anything else that you can tell us about that you're also working on? You mentioned at the outset you've got a couple of other sort of pans in the fire.
I do, but the people I work with make me sign these NDAs, so can't really talk too much about them.
Gotcha. And I'm assuming you've got some investors who came on board after your first flights. There would have been a lot of attention. Is that something are you well financed now? Are you still looking for other potential investors to get in touch?
Well, to tell the truth, we didn't yet take on any investors. Self-funded with all the other, say, the other business that I run, and the way I managed everything. I think we're doing pretty well, but we can always talk about that. I don't know. Depends. We'll see.
Is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you'd like to add?
No, I mean, not really. I guess we can keep in touch, and when we'll have more things to show, we'll share it with you guys.
Excellent. Well, I'm gonna hold you to that. I'll come out to Quebec at some point, because I would love to do a low altitude flight over water. But I'm just so fascinated by the technology, and I still remember seeing that video that first day, and I was just so blown away. I thought, this is unbelievable, and I can't wait to fly on one of these. And I wish you all the success in bringing this to market.
Okay. Okay. Well, there is something else that I might want to add here. When you look at it, it's easy to get excited and think that everyone's gonna fly with this, but it's also easy for this project to get overhyped, and people thinking that people thinking that this is the future, and sometimes they think that everyone's gonna fly around with drones in the cities. So it's easy to get overexcited over it. I think in a realistic setting, it's not just going to replace cars or anything like that just yet. But I still think that this has an actual spot as a niche somewhere within the drone and surfers community or something like that. It is becoming closer and closer to a product. And this is also thanks to the recent developments, the ones that happened after the first prototype was launched up to today. All these developments, they lead to improvements in reliability, in weight, in flight time, that will trickle down to improved specifications. They will turn into a product that is usable for real, not just something that you're looking at these guys with jetpacks and you're thinking, oh yeah, this is great, but this is crazy. I really think that here we have something that is not too crazy. If you are picturing yourself being on it, flying it without too much training, I think it's an instinct that is not too far off. It's definitely something. It will be something. It will be a product for sure.
Excellent. Well, listen, I wish you the very best of luck, and thank you for joining us today. We've been speaking with Alexandru Duru, who is the CEO of Omni Hoverboards, and really kind of a part of aviation history in my mind. Thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity to be on your channel. Thank you.
You're welcome.